The New Orleans Pelicans have been one of the NBA's most unlucky teams in recent memory. Every year this team has a handful of impressive talent on their roster, but always seem to end up dealing with injuries that hold them back from their true potential. Sadly, the same has been true to start the 24-25 NBA season, with their new all-star guard DeJounte Murray fracturing his hand in the first game, as well as Trey Murphy, Jordan Hawkins, CJ McCollum, Herb Jones, and Zion Williamson all now missing time as well. This season has been a disaster up to this point for a New Orleans team with aspirations of a playoff run in a very deep West, where it will be tough to make up ground in the standings. While things have been very tough for the Pelicans to start the season, one of the early season silver linings for New Orleans has been the play of Brandon Boston Jr., a 22-year-old guard from Kentucky who has yet to find his footing in the league up to this point. Boston was a 5-star recruit in high school, and ESPN had him ranked as the third best player in his class. He struggled for Kentucky in his 1 year with them, putting up 11 and 4 rebounds, shooting 35, 30, 78 splits for a Kentucky team that went 9 and 16 in the 2020 season, possibly the worst Kentucky team of the last decade. Nonetheless, Boston made the decision to declare for the draft after 1 year, and due to him and the Wildcats' poor performance, fell all the way to the 51st pick where the Clippers picked him up. Boston played sporadically in 3 years for a Clippers team that's first priority was contending, not developing their young guys, and in 105 games, he put up 6, 2, and 1 assist in 13 minutes per game on 40, 31, 77 splits with a pretty poor 48 true shooting percentage. The Spurs took a flyer on him this offseason, which seemed like it might be a good opportunity for him, but Boston played 29 minutes in preseason for San Antonio and was waived prior to the start of the season. The Pelicans then added him on a two-way deal, and it seemed like this very well could be his last real shot in the league. With New Orleans' sudden flurry of injuries though, Boston all of a sudden has been getting major minutes, and he has been making the most of it. Boston has been playing just over 25 minutes a night for New Orleans and is averaging just under 13 points a game, 3 boards, and 3 assists a night for the Pels. It's worth noting a lot of NBA players can put up numbers when given a high volume of shots per night, but what's been impressive up to this point about Boston's performance is that he's been efficient while doing it. Given it is a small sample size, these numbers need to be taken with a grain of salt and will likely slip at least a little by the end of the year, but nonetheless, Boston is impressively shooting 51, 39, 87 splits for the Pels and has a true shooting percentage of 62 currently. Boston is the type of player you take a chance on, someone who has a good amount of untapped potential as a clearly very talented player. I mean, he was a top 3 player in his high school class, according to ESPN, had countless offers, and at the time I was a fan of the Clippers picking him up late in the draft as a gamble, and the potential that so many saw in him is finally starting to show at the next level. Boston as a scorer can make plays off the dribble as someone who has length, athleticism, a handle, and the ability to knock down some tough shots. He also has shown some nice stuff playing off the ball for New Orleans, spotting up or cutting. He put up 26, 6, and 3 assists on 10 of 17 shooting versus the Magic, and also had a 20-point game with 4 assists on 9 of 15 shooting versus the Blazers. Even while he shot a poor 3 of 13 in the Pels' loss last night versus the Brooklyn Nets, Boston still contributed 10 assists, 7 boards, and 3 steals. NBA fans like to talk about tools a lot, and Boston is someone who possesses a lot of them. His fluidity on the ball as a 6'6" guard with a 7-foot wingspan that can make some really impressive plays with the ball in his hands, and someone who can play at his own pace has to be catching the eyes of Pelicans fans who aren't depressed enough to have stopped watching the squad already. Now, it's important noting this is a small sample size on a bad team, and the playmaking feel he showed versus the Nets, as well as consistency shooting, as he did struggle just shooting 31% with the Clippers and 30% from 3 in college. But I think something that's going to be really important for Boston is his shot selection. There are still things that need to be shown more of for him to carve out a spot as a rotation guy in the league, but with his new opportunity, Boston is showing the tantalizing ability that made him so highly regarded and may be able to find a new home for himself in New Orleans. I think the variety of ways in which he can get buckets too is really impressive, as if you look at some of the scoring highlights from these Pelicans games, he's getting guys on his hip, hitting mid-range pull-ups, he's hitting spot-up threes, he's getting to the rim. And as said earlier, he's also looking for other guys and has had some really nice playmaking flashes as a guy who can initiate offense on a Pels team who doesn't have a lot of guys that can do that left healthy. This is a huge opportunity for Boston and likely the biggest one of his career, and maybe, just maybe, the Pelicans have found themselves a real gem. As always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and peace out.